everybody. Welcome to another edition of Where I Come From, where the only requirement for this podcast is to be where I come from. It is I, Mr. Tone Deaf. We are back in the building on this beautiful day, and I am joined by someone you have actually heard me talk a lot about throughout my whole entire show. I have either mentioned her in regards to events she has going on. I have used her as a point of reference in regards to how you can control your own destiny. And if you actually happen to catch my Business Besties episode, I definitely mentioned her a few times in regards to that because she was very detrimental in regards to her TED Talk journey as well too. So make sure you go out and check that episode out. It's actually one of my top 5 favorite episodes I've done so far on this show. But I am joined today by my friend and cohort, Tashemia Dean. How's it going on today?
I am doing wonderful. I am blessed and just honored to be here.
Honored? Like you've been here so many
But
times.
hey, anytime I get a chance to, talk about the platform, spend some time with you,
Okay.
and we get to catch up. Hey,
Right.
it's
That's
all
what I like to hear.
good.
Thank you for that. Sometimes I'd be like, don't be too sure about what I'm doing until people like you come and be like, yo, keep doing what you're doing, man. So I appreciate you.
You
I
allow me to
appreciate
be myself when it comes to like actually talking about, who I am as a person. So it's sometimes it can be a little difficult, but hey,
Why do you feel like it's difficult talking about you?
I think because I'm a different person. I'm not the person I was 3+ years ago.
You shouldn't be.
Exactly. So it's at times day by day I'm learning new things about Tashemia every day.
Okay.
You know.
So let's take a page out of class. What's 2 things you've learned about yourself that you love, and 1 thing you be like, I gotta fix that.
2 things that I've learned about myself that I love is that I don't mind being the minority in a
Okay.
conversation, in a situation. I like to be the person that kind of bring that open mindedness because a lot of people sometimes can be one track minded or
True.
their thoughts and their perspective can feed off someone else.
True.
Another thing that I have grown to love about myself as I discovered is that fighting challenges day by day. I'm learning new ways to love myself through those challenges. Also putting myself in a state of being open minded, trying new things. So fighting that fear. I'm really loving that. One thing that I don't really like is the fact that sometimes I can get in my own way.
Okay.
I can stop myself from actually progressing at times. That procrastination can, hit me at times. The fear can sometimes hit me overall, but I get to a place of understanding and knowing that, hey, I've been here before.
Okay.
So,
Well, the good thing about that fear is that happens to everybody.
Mhm.
So it's not just you. A lot of times we will stop ourselves from progressing because we have imposter syndrome where we don't understand why people are putting us on this pedestal when you don't feel like you deserve to be there. Just self doubt, the fear of failure, which is something that a lot of us have in regards to it, is why we won't go and do that thing that we need to do that we know is best for business in so many words. So don't feel bad. It happens to everybody. It happens all the time. Even some of your biggest CEOs have doubts about themselves or whether or not this major choice that they're getting ready to make is worth it. Well, unless you Trump, but you don't fear nothing. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother conversation. Because bro, just right now he's acting like a petty ex girlfriend, and that's so funny to me. But before we go any further, okay, who is Tashemia Dean?
Who am I? That's a great question. So, I would say first that I love God.
Okay.
God is the head of all things within my life. I try my best to follow Jesus. So that's first and foremost. I am a mother of 2 adult children. My son is 18. My daughter is 20. I'm a grandmother. I have a granddaughter who is 3 years old. I'm the oldest of 6 siblings. So you just imagine that at times, everybody looks to me to solve problems, to actually, just really, I'm the go-to individual.
Okay.
I'm also the founder and CEO of a nonprofit called Fight Anxiety, Addiction, and Adversity Corporation, which is also known as Fight AAA. Also the CEO of a non-alcoholic beverage business that I'm currently building with Rise MKE program called Surrender Spirit
Plug
LLC.
Rise MKE cohort number 9 real quick.
Yeah, come on now. What is it? Cloud 9?
That's we're still think taking that, but that's where we're sitting at right now.
Okay, I like that.
That's one that's winning right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I'm honored to be in that program and to actually build the platform of Surrender Spirit. Right. I am a mental health advocate, as well as a advocate for sobriety to provide inclusion in all social settings, social environments.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's start with Fight AAA. Mm-hmm. First time when I ever heard of that, I thought somebody had beef with AAA in regards to how they're not doing what they're supposed to. But then when I actually sat down, I got to know you. I got to see the actual legitimacy of what the business was. I thought it was a very dope thing and a dope concept. So before we go any further, can you tell us, like, what is Fight AAA?
Okay, so Fight AAA is a nonprofit organization where we provide different resources and different resources to individuals who are struggling, who are dealing with anxiety, addiction, and adversity. And a lot of people don't understand that a lot of those things kind of coexist together, like they are connected. And because anxiety drives mental health, of course, which is a mental health diagnosis, which drives addiction, which can be many substances. And we have individuals currently, like myself, who are currently in recovery, and we, just trying to build that resilience. So I show people how to live through that recovery and what that looks like. You can still be in a social setting and live according to the way that you want to live. Right. And then also just providing different outlets on how to fight that anxiety. And then also the tools when life hits you. Hey, we got to get back up. We got to fight it. And that's basically building that resilience to kind of understand, like, hey, this is not the end of the world. Hey, I can still, so and so may have passed away. However, what can I do to actually come back from this? What can I do to keep living? Because just because life hits you doesn't mean that your life stops. So you still have to get back up. You still have to live.
Okay. So as I've noticed that you've been talking, you have your own personal journey that has led you to creating this organization to begin with. What is your personal journey that basically inspired you to go ahead and create Fight AAA?
So I've been in recovery for 2.5 years. In 2022, I hit I was in a dark place, a very dark place. And I don't want to go into specifics, but my anxiety basically drove me to have suicidal thoughts. Oh, and a lot of people don't really understand that the thought is just as important as the action. Exactly. And a lot of people kind of just really steer away from the thoughts. And I literally had the thought of not being here. I actually went and seeked for some pills. Of course the pills weren't there, but that was the one thing that actually scared me. Me being scared of myself. Like, okay, I had this thought and I actually went to go look for the medication. The medication was not there. So I kind of went into this panic because the anxiety was killing me. And I normally would go to alcohol to combat the anxiety, but I didn't want to. I was trying to fight it by myself. And I could no longer do that. So I seek for help. At this time I was already a recovery coach. So I had to literally get in position as a recovery coach for myself. Never knew that this was going to be the case or anything. It's just that, I had to seek for assistance. At the time, Milwaukee really didn't have a lot of beds available. They didn't really have the right resources that, to connect me with who I needed to connect with. I needed help right then and there. Right. And the one thing about substance abuse, when you are ready for change, when you're ready for help, you need it right then and there. You can't wait for people to drag their feet and figure things out. And I kept getting this runaround. And I ended up calling this number, and I went to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I didn't really tell a lot of people in my family what was going on. I just knew, like, hey, I had the suicidal thought.
Right.
I probably would have went on with it if I had some medication.
Right.
Nobody in my household probably wouldn't have been Narcan trained to even know how to
use it
properly. So that's why I have the Ready Rescue program for under Fight AAA. So I went over to Fort Lauderdale, Florida for my inpatient detox treatment. Was there for about 3 weeks. I got out. I had to figure out what my life was going to be about.
Okay.
Alcohol was no longer a part of that. So I fasted. I know I talk about this all the time, but when you are so accustomed to utilizing something that helps you combat certain things and you X that out the situation, you try to, for me, I wanted to figure out something to kind of fill that void at that moment. But I no longer had that anymore. So the only thing that I knew to do was to pray about it.
Right.
Prayed about it, fasted about it, and, that's when Fight AAA came up.
Okay. I am glad that you did not go through with it.
Mm-hmm.
There was definitely God's intervention, because if you thought about that pills, that means that at one point in time, the pills were there.
Yeah.
And for that moment, for them to not be there, that was definitely divine intervention in regards to that. But the silver lining is you now have created not just one, but 2 businesses off the back of a personal moment that who knows how many lives that you have saved since initiating this. How many people who have had that opportunity to go to the website and be like, look, I need help now, and you were able to do that. How many people who basically are now slowly getting their social life back because they don't have to be afraid to be in spaces and places like bars and have to drink that one drink that they've been avoiding for so long just to seem cool, So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I was on your website. Of course, I have to do my research on my friend. You're my cohort. I gotta check on you.
Right.
Okay. You have a phrase or a saying that you kind of have on there, which is called fasting for God's glory. Where did that come about, and what does that actually personally mean for you, as well as Fight AAA?
Yes. Wow. So
yeah, I did my homework.
Thank you. I love that because it actually piggybacks from what I was saying when I came back from my detox.
Right.
I no longer fit in society the way that I used to.
Right.
So I had to gain that direction from God. And when I went into prayer and I was fasting, because I'm like, I don't want to move. I don't want to do anything if I'm not actually being led by your will, God. So I had to make sure that I was obedient in that way, because there was just so many things that was actually attacking me at that moment. And when I did the fasting the first couple of times by myself, I actually I fell into I would say dehydration because I was not doing it properly.
Right.
And then so God was telling me
learned that.
Yeah. God was actually telling me you need to do more research. I started to do more research in the different ways to fast and how to properly fast. And I was so into it that I started to write a book. I'm like, hey, if I'm going through these same issues, because you go to church, they tell you to fast, but they don't tell you how to fast.
They don't tell you how to
They
fast.
tell you to pray, but they don't tell you how to pray. And so I wanted to write about it, because I'm like, if I'm dealing with this, I know somebody else is dealing with it. So I actually wrote the Fasting for God's Glory workbook, biblical workbook, to show individuals how to properly fast and pray. I'm not no scholar or anything. I got a lot of my research and everything from online, and actually put in the work, the action to actually understand and know what, how it looks.
Right.
And after that, God gave me the glory. God gave me Fight AAA. He gave me Surrendered Spirit. He gave me Cheers to Sobriety, my second book that I just published last year.
Get ready to get on that.
He gave me all of these different aspects in my journey that were all connected. He gave me Mikhail. All of those things came, and
shout out to my business.
Exactly. And that's where Fasting for God is glorious. It's fasting knowing that you're going to get the glory from God because you are being obedient and you are seeking his will and not yours.
Okay. So getting back to Fight AAA, how or what resources do you actually have available for people who are looking for help in these moments, and how can they get a hold of you to get those resources?
Yes. So currently right now I do recovery coaching. So for individuals who are seeking assistance where they are, most of the time if you're in the ER, if a patient is in the ER and they've had like a almost semi drug overdose, they'll call a recovery coach.
Right.
So most times I will be that individual to go to that ER. I haven't really had any ER calls lately. However, I do recovery coaching on like as a solo part of it, connected with different social workers and things, peer support specialists as well. There's peer support where, and I just became state certified. So
shout out to you.
Yes, thank you. So I wasn't state certified before, but I was still able to actively work as a peer support, but I just to a certain standard, not to the higher level when you're state certified. Also we do dry crawls around the city, and this is to help individuals who are currently seeking that social aspect that they know where they can go to have a nice inclusive environment where they have mocktails and things for individuals. And then we also have the Ready Rescue program where we fully equip individuals with Narcan training as well as suicide prevention, because a lot of people don't understand how all of those are connected at times. Right. How, and I just talked about that, having a suicidal thought. And if I would have actually went ahead, no one in my home would have been Narcan trained, So we do that. And then there's also some other programs, initiatives that we are actually partaking in as we speak.
Mm-hmm. We need to sit down and actually have a conversation about how we can both together make that a little bit more accessible on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
I think with the tools that we do have now in this day and age, having something available on YouTube University can definitely help out a lot of people, because you may not be able to touch physically every single individual and educate them yourselves, but if you were to say create a specific YouTube channel under Fight AAA, and there is helpful tools and videos such as in how to properly administer Narcan and to do self-help kind of a way, you may save even more lives that you don't even realize.
Wow. So. Yeah, thank you for that. And I didn't want to forget about the non-alcoholic beverage initiative.
We're gonna have a whole conversation about that. Yeah. I got you. I met you. I officially met you on your book tour for the most latest book we had in regards to that. And that was the initial reason why I wanted to have a conversation with you. But after getting to know you and seeing there's way more to you than just your sobriety, I wanted to definitely cover everything for that. Now, you came up, you said something earlier. I said you came up. You brought up something earlier in regards to things about anxiety, addiction, and stuff like that. What are some of the misconceptions that you tend to find out when you're speaking with people when it comes to things like addiction and anxiety, and how they actually do go together? Because you kind of brought that up earlier.
Oh, that's a great question.
I do my homework.
I think when it comes to anxiety and addiction, a lot of people don't really understand that the anxiety it starts in the body.
Right.
And then you have then it goes to your brain. And most of the time we don't really understand it. So for me, when that anxiety comes, and then for other individuals, you tend to not want to deal with conflict. You tend to not want to deal with difficult situations. So you kind of, I'm trying to explain it where it's that anxiousness of actually where you're not thinking it, you just do.
Right.
Or you're constantly like just trying to figure something out, and you really can't figure it out. Or for me, it was more of I would go to alcohol to deal with because I didn't want to deal with this. I didn't want to deal with the conflict. I didn't want to deal with my kids. I'm just gonna be real. I didn't want to deal with them.
I got two.
I didn't want to deal with my relationship. Or I didn't want to, I had all of these things going on at work. I didn't want to I don't have any positive outlooks. All I know is this.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand that anxiety can turn into so many different things, especially if, like, again, if you don't like catch it right away.
Right.
And because sometimes we tend to think that it's just the nervousness. It is nervousness, but there's so much more. You can, the sweaty paws, your heart is racing, you're all over the place, your thoughts are all over the place, you're pacing the floor, you're scared because you don't want to talk to a certain individual. Now you're second guessing yourself. You say, like, what, am I enough?
Right.
Will they like me? Will they not?
Right.
All of those things kind of can turn to something else. So people will use substances to not have those thoughts, to not feel that way. So for me, I never knew I had social anxiety until I took the alcohol. I used the alcohol to help me gain the courage to be in the room. So now it's like, now that I know that, it's like, okay, I give myself assignment.
Right.
Because I know I have this social anxiety. So it's like, okay, I got to get into the room.
Right.
I used to be able to just take me a shot here and there. And I got the courage to get in there, but now I got to do something different.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I love being transparent on my show. I too, deal with anxiety in regards to multiple different things. The network as a whole was born off the back of me trying to find healthy outlets to deal with depression. Because I can have clinical depression at times in regards to it. Matter of fact, maybe not even like a couple, say maybe about 2-3 weeks ago, I actually had a full anxiety attack at home. And I was home alone at that. And the funny thing about it was there was nothing going on that would trigger it. It was just a simple fact that I personally, overall, had a lot going on. New job, new business. We were starting the program. I hadn't worked for about a couple of months, almost going on 3 months at the time. So my savings and everything was starting to be depleted. Kids were starting to need things in regards to it. And there was just a lot going on that as I'm sitting here just not even really thinking about it, I can feel the attack coming on slowly on my body. I can feel my body getting very tingly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like things started feeling heavy, started getting numb to the point where initially, I'm not gonna lie to you, I thought I was having a heart attack.
Yeah.
I thought I was, but because I have so many medical specialists in my family, I kind of already knew what some of the signs looked like. So yeah, I'm not having this issue with my arm. I'm not having this in the middle of the chest pains. I am having breathing issue. I find myself doing this to the point where I had to completely come out my shirt and I had to literally sit on the floor and ground myself.
Yes.
Like I had to level myself out so my body and my mind could level itself out. I thought I was having a sugar attack. No, I can't be that because I'm very mindful about how I eat and whatnot. So I knew it wasn't that. I'm more of the most healthiest one out of the family when it comes to how I eat and what I, do in regards to it. So I knew it wasn't that because I don't have diabetes, nothing like that. So I could not put two and two together. And then I thought about it, it's like, I'm having an anxiety attack because I'm so worried about not being able to do what I do. Because a lot of people don't know, TDR is not just audio video production company. It is a safe space. And I say that not as a mantra to make people come here, but no, it's really a safe space. Anybody who's ever been here in the studio or recorded with me or worked with me know that I'm the home for the introverts. I'm the place where your show may be only an hour long, but you're at the studio for 2.5 because you need to get things off your chest, whether it's just talking to me or you talking to the microphone and then we never release the episode, or you just need to talk to other people who understand. I have an intern who comes to the studio sometimes, and even though I may not have anything for him to do, the fact that he can be here and absorb what's going on around him helps him deal with whatever he's dealing with.
Yeah, that's good.
In a lot of different things. So I do kind of take mental health personal.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to make sure that information and that thing is there. And then the biggest things is when I do events outside the panel, shout out to the panel MKE.
Yes,
But
shout
when
out.
I do events, I do it for those people that I deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go and make this big public announcement about, hey, we're having a game night, come join us at Lush. Usually if I do that, it's, hey, I'm gonna do a kickback at Lush this weekend, come
Right.
through. Because I want them to have those people who I know need those safe spaces but still want to socialize.
I love that.
I want it for them. I don't care if people off the street decides to slide in and join us. That's cool. But the original reason for me doing this kickback is for you. So a lot of times I had no problem funding it, paying for whatever we were going through, playing games, doing whatever we want to. At the end of the day, I don't care if 2 or 200 people came. It was not for anybody but those who I initially invited it for, because they needed their safe space in regards to it. So having someone like you who actually deal with this, the girl's mom, she works at Rogers, so a lot of times she fills me in with information. So as I'm building different things, I can always say, hey, I got this mental health situation I'm working on for an assignment. Can you give me a little bit of information? And she'll kind of fill me in. She won't tell me no personal information, of course, but I got a resource that I can.
I love that. That's major, and I'm glad that when you experienced your anxiety attack, that you knew exactly what to do.
Right.
You know, and of course there are many tools and things that you can do to kind of get yourself to a safe space, but you like literally knew, I got to get on the ground. I have to, you know, would you lay on your back?
I have to lay on my side because
side,
when I have anxiety attacks, I lose breath if I'm on my back.
Okay.
I don't know what, I got to go to the doctor to find out, but I think my glands are swollen to the point that if I lay on my back too long, it'll actually suffocate me.
Okay.
So part of the thing is I have to either lay on my side, or if I already have it centered and my breathing is good, I can lay on my stomach and most of it will ground itself out. Right. But when I tell you this last one, I couldn't even tell you why it happened. I only came to the conclusion of everything going on in that moment is what triggered it. But this one, it literally, it's like it was like someone threw a pebble in the water and it just started getting bigger and bigger until it turned into a tidal wave in regards to it. Just came out of nowhere. Yeah, but
it happens. But I'm glad that you were, you know, just like I said, that anxiety starts in the body. And you actually gave us the explanation of how it started with you. It started in your body first. And then, you know, you had to think and figure out like, hey, what's going on?
Right.
You know, so yeah.
But, you know, and I don't, only 2 people knew that happened. So the fact that I put it on air is like a big step for me. Because a lot of people don't know what I go through. Because I'm the strong one. And I'm actually working on a book called Who Saved Superman.
Wow, congratulations. I love that.
Who Saved Superman? Because a lot of times we tend to always make the phrase check on your strong friends. But then I have to sit back and think about it. It's like, but do we know how to?
Come on.
You know? Because if our strong friends have always been our strong friends, when do we know that they need help?
Yes, that brings me to this. And I know we probably off. It's
we here.
But I have a best friend. Her name is Keisha. We've been best friends since the 7th grade. Okay. And she is like my sister. Yes. And your support system is so important during certain moments, like especially like for me in my recovery. Actually just learning this new process of like who Tashemia is.
Right.
In the beginning stages of my recovery, you know, she didn't know how to support me, so she distanced herself. She didn't do it intentionally. It was because she didn't know how to support me.
Right.
And because I knew I needed her support, and I kind of felt that distance, you know, that energy, and I'm like, okay, what's going on?
Right.
My friend is not here to kind of help me through this. Normally we deal with situations together. I had to actually pick up the phone, or you know, we actually had we met and talked to her and let her know, like, hey, Keisha, you know, I know that this is new. I know that because this is a new journey for me.
Right.
I know that we've always, had alcohol involved in certain situations, but our relationship and our friendship is not based on alcohol because we have so much more than that.
Right.
But I need you in my life because you are a huge part of that, of who I am, and I had to let her know that I need you. I love you. Not only are you my best friend, but you play a major role when it comes to just me being who I am. And I need all of those great things that you bring, that you bring to the table as a best friend. And I'm like, we can work through this together. I think that having that conversation made our relationship so much stronger because I was able to be vulnerable with her and she was able to see that part of me of like,
Right.
hey, you know what? She needs me. Because sometimes, I probably would have just ignored it. Years would have went down the line. I've lost a best friend.
Right.
And
I think a lot of us we tend to not really look at that aspect because we're going through it. When we're going through recovery or when we're going through our trials and tribulations, we can be a little bit selfish unintentionally. And I think a lot of people are learning to look at things outside of their own intentions. Like there's been a lot of times where I didn't want to go to an event because my pockets wasn't the way I wanted them to be. Like, even though my friends can be like, well, come on through, bro, I got you anyway. It's like, nah, I don't like to be out with nothing. Not realizing my friend is asking me to come because he needs my support. He needs to go out, and before he performs, he needs to know that somebody who knows him as the person, not the artist, is there to say, bro, don't trip. You got this. Because sometimes that's all you need is someone to say, you got this. And they know they got it. They be good. So I had to get out that bag of worrying about me so much and sometimes look at like, okay, tonight I'm going to go do this. I'm not going to worry about what I got going on. Do I got enough to get in the door? Cool. I'll figure it out once I get there. But that's what I need to do. Another thing is a lot of times we, like you say, we don't know that a person is going through something. And because that person may be embarrassed to say they're going through it, they may not know how to properly convey it. We tend to look at them as being funny, being weird. And then we, like you say, your friend did, she backed off. She may not have thought that you were being weird or anything like that, but she just may not have known how to handle it. So she backed up. It's like, okay, I don't want to make it worse by trying to understand. So I'm going to stay over here and wait till you are comfortable with saying this is what's going on. This is where I am. I just need you to hold my hand from time to time. As if we go out to the club or the bar, and if I grab your hand, that's my little secret saying I really want to drink really bad, but I'm trying not to drink. Like those little things that people sometimes don't catch and understand that those little things matter the most for a lot of people, and it is a big deal. Speaking of drinks and social environments and things like this, you have another business. You kind of mentioned a few times that you are, that's why you're in the Rise MKE program. Tell people about the business itself and what motivates you to create this business.
Yes. So up until a year of my sobriety, I was being placed in entrepreneurship rooms. And every time I went to an event and there were open bars, it was open bars for alcohol. Typically they'll just have like water and soda for individuals that didn't want to consume alcohol. But because, when you being in those spaces, sometimes certain people or certain groups of people can forget about why we're there, and then the alcohol kind of takes over. So it actually put me in a place of feeling excluded, and I almost felt as if, not that I wanted, like I had a taste for alcohol, like, should I just get a beverage, just get a drink, just so I could fit in, because I felt like I was so excluded. And then most of the time when you're drinking soda and water, it kind of brings up those questions of why aren't you drinking, or do you want another drink? Do you want to have a shot? And I didn't want to like experience those triggers because again, I'm almost to a year of my sobriety. I don't know what I may and may not do because it's a day-to-day thing. And every day I'm having different thoughts and different feelings. So just experiencing that, like that warfare that I was experiencing, again, I went back to what I know. I went to fasting and praying about it. And God gave me, that's where the non-alcoholic beverage initiative came about, where I go to establishments and I talk about the importance of inclusion. And then I thought about, okay, I can make this a business where I can actually make some money off of this. So I started making menus, like non-alcoholic menus for certain establishments to kind of implement that inclusion, and then also create a non-alcoholic, beverage menu for events. And then I started having my own events, and then I started creating alternatives for alcohol for people. So like, if there's kava, I start talking about that.
Right.
So it became this thing where I was like, okay, you know what? I'm all over the place. I know everything is connected, but I need some direction when I apply for the Rise and KE program. Yes.
I feel you on that. That's actually dope. Because like I said, I met you when you were on your book tour for your second book in regards to it. You introduced me to a few non-alcoholic options.
Mm-hmm.
And I have actually joined you at a few establishments that does patronize your initiative, as you do your bar crawl and stuff like that. Because I know January was
dry January.
I've seen several different establishments throughout the city of Milwaukee heavily promote the dry bar crawl. Y'all got to get a fancier name for that.
But let me ask you this. Did you see now? Because everybody know me. Right. I love everybody. When I post things, I never mean to, like, there's no harm that's, provided when I post things. It's really to bring awareness.
Right.
And I had talked about dry January for some time now.
Right.
I even spoke to some owners of some establishments. And if I tell you the response that I got, most of the time it was either I would get sent, ignored, laughed in my, people would laugh in my face. So I wasn't really being taken seriously.
Right.
And I put a post up stating that, and of course the tone was put out in a way to gain. Exactly. And because to my understanding, there was only one Black owned establishment that promoted dry January.
Okay.
Now, when you say that you've seen a lot of promotion, did you see any other ones?
Because I don't really pay attention to the actual ethnicity of the establishment.
Right.
I just look at who says it. I follow the hashtags, see the different things. There are a few of them here in the city of Milwaukee, and I can 9 times out of 10 probably say that they were not minority owned. Okay. They may have actually been a few of them that you have recommended or that you had your book tour at, which is probably why they were on my timeline to begin with. So that's not a bad thing in regards to it. To me, honestly, I look at it as a step in the right direction. Yes, to sit here and tell somebody, look, you need to sell drinks if they got alcohol in it at an alcohol heavy establishment in the number one alcohol selling this city, you're going to get some door closed. Okay.
And you know what? That's how I knew that I was on to something.
You was on to something. That's what I was going to say. You had a good thing. It was a great thing to do, and you do need to do it. Because I can tell you right now, I'm not a big heavy drinker. And it's not that I'm not a heavy drinker because I don't like alcohol, because I know what my drink of choice is, and I know what I can and I can't drink. I'm not a heavy drinker because I've lost 3 uncles and a granddad to alcohol in one shape or form. And I seen this coming up in my childhood. So alcohol was never going to be something that was going to be prevalent in my household. It was never going to be something that was major in my family. It was never going to be something I felt like I needed. But up until I actually sat down and found out about mocktails and whatnot, I always looked at the lesser alcoholic beverages as those options to still be able to fit in. Your Mike Hard lemonades, your apple cider ones, your reds, or just anything that just did not have a high alcohol content in it. That would be your alternatives. Like, yes, you can still fit in, you can still hang around. We see you with these particular drinks, so we know you either a lightweight or you're not trying to drink. But then you have to sit back and you got to think about, well, what about those who are recovering alcoholic?
or people who are pregnant,
or
and they
people who are
still want to
pregnant,
be
right,
in the
and they
social
still want to
scene,
be in the social
or taking
environment.
medication and
Or-
can't mix.
Exactly.
You know?
So, and see, those things, I didn't even think outside of that
Mhm.
aspect of the pregnancy people, the medication people, the ones where you can't drink in these situations or your body won't let you drink in those situations.
Yeah.
So, like you said, now you're sitting here and you're forced to drink water and drink soda. And let's keep it a buck. Soda is just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than actual heavy alcohol consumption.
I talk
too.
about that in my Cheers to Sobriety
You know,
book.
so soda is just as bad too. It's probably the number one addiction I can't break to save my life.
Mhm.
It's a soda. It's not even the one, and it's the easiest one to get.
Yeah.
It's legal for anybody to get it. You know,
Exactly.
it's an addiction you can start at 12.
Yeah.
So, and it's supposed to be the alternative. You
Mhm.
take your alcohol. You're supposed to put chasers behind it if you can't have you drink, or you're supposed to drink soda. When you think about it, you have a nursing mother who's going out for her best friend's graduation,
Mhm.
and we're celebrating this 8-year triumph to becoming a doctor, and everybody's popping bottles left and right, and you expect her to just sit there and drink a soda?
Right. So I actually I had spoke to someone about this because I gave them the illustration of this, because it's not, a lot of people think that I'm against alcohol.
Right.
I'm not against
You
it
just
at all.
want to have alternatives.
Literally, if I could go back in time and actually do things all over again, I would. But that's not my purpose. That's not what God has given me. And it's for me to break those generational curses.
Right.
However, I am bringing awareness to alcohol assumption.
Right.
You know, like not having that moderation, not being prepared when you are in certain settings. Also, with our establishments, not providing those alternatives for individuals. Because why leave money on the table? If all of the other establishments, that Asian establishments, I've been to some of those in dry January, Caucasian establishments, they all promoted dry January.
That's why I said
our culture did not. And it's because when we actually talk about alcohol, a lot of people steer away from the effects of it because it's a money driver. It drives a lot of money, especially if you're an owner.
Well, take this also in consideration. We are probably one of the few cultures who that's our major coping mechanism.
Yep.
Like, let's go back to the whole thing about
Mhm.
AAA, about the anxiety and the addictions.
Dealing with life.
We're dealing with life as a whole. We are usually, as African Americans, we are literally born into this world with 2 levels of stress and anxiety on us, and we ain't even started kindergarten yet.
Yes.
And a lot of us do. We do have addictions. We do use things like municipal drugs and alcohol as our ways to cope with it. There are people who literally have to wake up and put a little bit in their coffee that morning just to be able to get through the day in regards to it. So to turn around and tell business establishments who make their money off of, let's be honest with you, giving them their coping mechanisms, and you're saying, oh, well, here's ways that they can still have fun, but you take out the dealing of the mechanism, they don't feel like it's going to sell that well.
But that's because a lot of people they don't know how it looks. Because it's not the norm for a person to be bold in sobriety. Right. Most of the time, the sobriety aspect is looked down upon, and I receive that wholeheartedly.
Okay.
When I choose not to drink, I'm looked at as somebody that's thinking, you know, hey, who she thinks she is, or what's going on with her. But at times, is, you know, when people are not used to something like dry January, I didn't know about dry January until I got in a place of sobriety, because I'm going out and I'm seeking those places where I can feel included and not feel like I'm excluded, like I can't live my life. That's how I found out about dry January. Okay. So now when we're having this conversation, because think about it, you have a party of 20 people dry January coming to your establishment. 19 of those people are practicing dry sobriety. They're practicing dry January. Right. You only serve alcohol, water, and juice, right?
Right.
You're not going to make no money off that group of people because you're not providing a menu of inclusion where they can order a mocktail or something that's $10, $15. Now, that one person out of that 20, that person not even going to make you your money, because water and juice is like, what, $4, $5? You know what I mean? So I look at that. it's just providing an environment where a person can feel comfortable.
Right. Because don't nobody want just a glass of cranberry juice.
No.
Okay. We gotta have something else to it.
Mm-hmm.
How in depth is your menu though? Because I've seen different mocktails, and they can be very, very beautiful. To sum it up in a nutshell, if done properly. How in depth is your menus when you create these different alternatives for these establishments?
Well, it depends on the environment, like the audience.
Right.
So, if you're having, okay, I would say, if we're dealing with a place that's on Water Street, depending on the audience of people, the culture of people, I look at what they typically normally drink. If they typically drink a tequila or something, I would use a spirit-free tequila. So it's a tequila with no alcohol in it, and it would kind of mimic that. Or
is that possible?
Yes.
No, I'm saying
yes, you can have a spirit-free tequila, spirit-free rum. Some establishments or some events, they really want to just stay away from anything that mimics the alcohol beverage because of the population. However, you can even use juices. You can use aromatherapy oils to kind of help with certain feelings. If you're feeling down, there's a lot of oils that can help you, that can infuse your drink to help you feel upbeat and happy and socially. Even kava is a root from a root, and they ground it up, and you can use that, and it helps with easing anxiety. It helps with a lot of things. So there's many alternatives. I just found out that my tequila don't have to get me drunk. You can get a fear-free tequila. You can have a fear-free. But again, those options are a little bit more expensive. So I think sometimes that's why a lot of establishments steer away from the fear-free option because of how pricey it can be.
But it's not like alcohol expires.
It would hope. It does expire. Not alcohol, but alcohol-free.
Okay.
Beverages. And so that's another thing. You have to look at the expiration date. When you open it, you really got to be on top of when you open it, when it expires, the last time you opened it, because every time you open it, it's giving it oxygen where, the life of it is basically minimized every time. So that's another reason. But there's ways around that. You can have events where you can serve all your mocktails in one event.
This is true.
And just have your regular 2-3 items on the menu. Or when people come in, you can just mix something up real quick.
Okay. So what is the end goal for everything Tashemia Dean?
Milwaukee will have a sober lounge real soon.
Okay.
We will literally have a sober lounge. Also,
can I pot there?
Yeah.
Okay, that's how I need to know.
Yeah, we have a sober lounge where there's going to be events, poetry, live music, where you can just come and enjoy yourself. Because I get a lot of people that reach out to me around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, asking if there's a sober-free place here in Milwaukee. We don't have any.
We don't
have any.
I mean, like I said, once again, you're in the number one city in the world that has more bars per square people.
Yeah.
So, of course, it's going to be that way, unfortunately.
I'm trying to bring something different.
All right.
Bring a new norm.
How can they get a hold of you? How can they get a hold of those books? How can they reach out to you if they ever need your assistance as a recovery coach? The whole 9 yards.
Yeah, so you can reach out to me on my Facebook. It's Tashemia Dean, Tashemia Dean. Also on Instagram. I also have a website, www.Fight Corp at hold on, let me get it right. FightAAA.org.
Yes.
Thank you. So yes, and then also you can just contact me on my email, which is coachmst@fightaaa.com.
Okay.
Both of my books are available on Amazon. So Faster for God's Glory is on there, as well as Cheers to Sobriety.
Okay. Well, as you can see, I have very dope people that stay around me. But honestly, if you are ever out there having any type of suicidal thoughts, if you're dealing with addictions, if you need any help, do not be afraid to go get help. I will make sure that the number is on the bottom of the screen, as well as different venues and places where you can reach out to be able to get those helps in those moments. Because nobody has to do this alone. And yeah. With that being said, make sure you check us out on all streaming platforms. That's Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever else you listen to your podcast at. Make sure you check out all the shows here on TDR Network. Everything from the Deaf Fresh Show, as we're currently on our What Is Love tour, all the way down to the return of Moments with Mo Sketty, which is definitely a show you need to get into. I'm telling you, if you ever need any type of moments to be able to handle everyday life, Mo Sketty got you. All right. With that being said, we are out of here, people. Peace.
How you doing? I was watching you the other day, girl. It was so good. Yes. I love it.